Welcome to Southern Guitar Works Studios, and today at OGW we're going to be talking about the Hagstrom HB-8 8-string bass guitar. Now this is not your modern 8-string gent machine for Meshuggah covers and heavy metal sort of stuff. This is an 8-string in the octave sense, akin to a 12-string guitar. Now after we've talked about the specs and the bass itself, we're going to have a little play around, listen to some of the pickup configurations and the different sounds we can get out of it. So I got my Hagstrom HB-8 as a gift from my wife. I would be lying if I said I knew exactly when. It was some time ago. I would say probably 7, maybe 8 years ago now. This bass is a reissue of the classic Hagstrom 8-string basses. The original H8 was manufactured between 1967 and 1969. I can't find the exact year they started producing the HB-8 reissues, but I believe it was around 2010-2011. And price is another tricky thing because you can't really find any of these brand new, being that they are quite old now. So looking at what's available now, we can get an idea of what they may have been priced at. But if you want to do a comparison for something you could buy now, I would say comparing against the H8 II, which is available now through places such as Guitar for $679, Gear for Music $679, and the usual places you can pick up new basses from. But the only other comparative price I found in my research was on a guitar database sort of website that had one for sale, and it was listed at $729. So I'd never played an 8-string bass before. I'd heard of them, I'd seen them, I know the pedigree from the 60s of them, and there's lots of interesting stories around them, which I will go into later on in this spec section. But it was really interesting getting my hands on one. At the time I was playing bass in a band, so it was very unusual feeling, but it was totally manageable, being that I was used to a 5-string bass or 7-string guitars. It was quite easy and comfortable for me to get my hand around the neck. So as far as the specs are concerned for this bass, the body material was mahogany, the neck is a bolt-on, and the material of the neck is maple, which featured their patented truss rod, which is called the Expander. Now, the fingerboard is a little bit more interesting as it's made from a proprietary material from Hagstrom. It's trademarked and known as Resonator. I'll go into that a little bit more at the end of all the specs. It features pearl dot inlays, 21 medium jumbo frets. Scale length is 30.75 inch. It has a Graphtec Black Tusk XL nut, and the nut width is 1.57 inch. And one of my favorite aspects of this bass is the electronics. The pickups are two Dynarel 1025 HB/N Alnico 5s. The pickup selector is a 6-way rotary knob that clicks in place, which is nice, and it's got a nice meaty click to it. And the positions are: 1 is the neck and bridge single coil outer coils, 2 is the bridge single coil outer coil, 3 is the neck single coil outer coil, 4 is the neck and bridge humbucking, 5 is the bridge humbucking, and 6 is the neck humbucking. So you have a massive range of tones available to you, and also it features the 1 volume knob and 1 tone knob. The bridge is the Hagstrom heavy duty 8-string bridge, and it is a through body string bass, and the tuning keys are the Hagstrom 17:1 ratio keys. So as I mentioned earlier, I would go into a bit more detail about the trademark Resonator wood fingerboard. So reading the description on the Hagstrom website, it is wood composite material that is both more uniform in density and more stable than any standard wood product. It goes further to say these characteristics eliminate dead spots or wolf tones sometimes associated with conventional wood fingerboards. This obviously will bring to mind the Vibracell switch guitars and Luthite used in the Ibanez EDA 905s. So this is something I'm not unfamiliar with, and this is quite an interesting concept. And another little honorable mention I figure would be the Expander Truss Rod, something I've not seen in any other guitar, and it is patented obviously to Hagstrom. It is something that they attribute to why they have some of the world's fastest playing necks. And I think this is something interesting as it helps with the transference of the vibration, and it helps to ensure stability when tuning. Competitors is a bit of a tricky one because Hagstrom seems to have cornered the market with the 8-string bass, but I have found there is the Schecter Riot Session 8 8-string bass, which is a very attractive looking bass. I've never played one, but it seems to have some nice characteristics on it. It comes in at 799, so I mean just under 800 quid is a little bit more expensive than the H8 II that is available new from Hagstrom now. So as mentioned earlier, there are some old anecdotes and old notable users of the 1960s Hagstrom H8 bass. One specific story which is really interesting was that Jimi Hendrix owned the 6th one ever made in 1967, and he used it on various different jams, and he actually used it on a song based on the Beatles' Day Tripper, and it's currently housed in the Hendrix collection at the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle. And Noel Redding, the bass player of the Jimi Hendrix Experience, was on tour in Sweden and was approached about Hagstrom and ended up using it on a few songs. Mike Rutherford, the bass player of Genesis, used the Hagstrom H8 on one of their songs. Danny McCulloch, the bass player of The Animals, was listed as a Hagstrom H8 user in most of the promotional material from the 60s. And Lemmy famously used one on a BBC Top of the Pops video for the song Bomber. So now we're done with the talking, let's go over and get some sounds from the Hagstrom HB-8 reissue 8-string bass guitar. So here we're at a better sort of guitar friendly angle, and here she is in all her glory. I mean, stunning, love the cherry red, you can get a bit of a better colour check on it. It's an old school kind of vibe to it. It reminds me of old SGs and Epiphones. It's just a much more kind of like classic look to it. This wouldn't probably look right if it was a very modern looking machine. The pickguard is a 3-ply, very cool looking, very aggressive, pointy, and lots of cuts and bevels in it. I really like that. The bridge is nice and chunky, nice and cool looking. Just purely aesthetically, it's a very cool guitar. I like this big aggressive sweeping horn at the top here. A little bit awkward on the strap position, I must be honest. Every time I've played it with a strap, it does get a little bit kind of awkward there. You would probably be good to have grommets on there or strap locks on there. But generally really comfortable. It doesn't feel massively long with the neck, and a nice kind of thin neck as well. Once you get up to sort of those first frets, it's very thin, very manageable. I'm used to playing 5-string basses and 7-string and 8-string guitars, and this is very, very manageable for me. Completely easy. It feels almost toyish in a way, but super comfortable and super quality. The big headstock may put some people off because it is rather imposing, rather large, but it just kind of adds to the character. The break angle of the neck and everything, it just kind of adds, and has a very Gibson sort of style break angle on the neck. And yeah, there's a lot about this guitar. It screams character. It's got a lot of personality. One thing as well that's really key, before I even turn this on, it's plugged into the pedal board from my wireless, but before I even turn this on, I have to add that, where's my pick? If I use a pick, especially, this thing is resonant as hell, even before you plug it in. I mean, check this out. That's just me raw playing. Super, super loud, really warm, and really, just the sustain is crazy on it. It's just, and funny enough, my mic is actually slightly positioned away from me. It's not even pointing at me in the bass. It's pointing at speakers to pick up the sound from my DAW. Very cool, very resonant. I hope the mic has picked that up enough for you to hear. So we're going to start off in the first position. Now I have it rolled all the way up as if you were turning your volume all the way up, and that, as far as the research I've done, is the neck pickup position. So we're going to start with this neck pickup position and see how it sounds. Really nice for the chords, really, really warm. I've got the tone rolled all the way up, so we'll roll the tone back and just see how that sounds for comparison. Really, the open E says a lot to me, because if you hear the difference there with the tone rolled back and then the tone rolled all the way up, A bit more bite, a bit more clarity there. So now we'll go on and try the next position, which is the bridge pickup. Doesn't have as much warmth, doesn't have as much sort of gut to it, but it's a bit more bite. Shift as you hit. If you listen, you can really hear a difference there. So that tone actually makes a huge difference when you're in the humbucking positions, it feels like. So the next is technically position 4, which is the neck and bridge, and that I believe is in humbucking mixed together. It's humbucking. I like it. It's not. I think it's not as definitively, clear as either the neck on its own or the bridge on its own. It has a bit more of a sort of blended tone, which obviously that's the effect you're going for, blending two humbuckers. But I'm not as big a fan of that sound. So now this next position is neck single coil, outer coil. I don't probably have a call for ever needing my guitar tone to be that sort of thinner sound that you get from... I'm sure there's some music that will use that sort of sound, but for me that just sounds a bit too thin and would probably get a bit lost in a mix, especially live. Next sound is bridge single coil, outer coil. I think it's a bit different. It's a bit, I don't know, it's unusual. Accompanying acoustic, that would be really cool, I feel like. Especially live, I think you could blend that and acoustic sound really well together. And our last sound is the neck and the bridge pickups, single coils, and it's both of their outer coils blended. Nice, I like it. It kind of does have the subtlety and the sort of slightly thinner high end there in the neck single coil blended with that kind of bit more of a robust single coil from the bridge. There's a bit of aggression in there. It kind of, you can get a lot of bite out of that. It'd be kind of cool with distortion, but yeah, I'm really more of a fan of the pickups in their sort of humbucking positions. Just for fun, I wanted to try out a bit of distortion, so I'm running into my board, and on my board I'm using my preamp. I haven't been using it for the other test, that was just the clean bass signal, but for now I've engaged my preamp, which is the MXR Bass DI Plus, the M80, and what I've done is I've put on the distortion channel, and I've got the distortion blend up quite high, the volume's at unity on both the distortion and the clean channel, and I've kind of turned the trigger, opened the trigger up a lot and got the gain cranked, just to kind of get a feel of that octave with the bass. And already sounds quite good already, and I've kind of been wanting to hear the pickups in different positions, so we'll start with the neck. singles just to get a little feel of them. Position. I like that a lot. I think that's really cool. I've messed with the tone. Yeah, tone kind of does what you expect it to do. I love how bright these pickups are. They're very bright, they're very colourful sounding, and like, I don't know, really resonant and really, I don't know, I like them a lot. They're just really nice. It's a nice sound, and this is the sound with a mix of the two outer coils. I thought would sound really cool distortion, and yeah, I liked it. It's really nice. So this has been the Hagstrom HB-8 8-string bass guitar. I've really enjoyed playing with it. I've really had a lot of fun. I love the look of it. I wish I could find more applications for it in a live setting. It's tricky, it probably doesn't fit the sound of my band, but I'm definitely going to keep this out and play it a little bit more. I hope you've liked the guitar, and I hope you go out and get one for yourself and play with it. And if you like the video, please leave us a like, turn on the notification bells to see what's coming in the future. Leave us a comment. Let us know if you've got one. Let us know if you played one. Let us know if you hate it. Always want to hear dissenting or opinions on things, because it helps me open up and look at new things. Give me a recommendation as well, what you want me to take a look at in the future. If you want to see more pedals, you want to see more instruments, you want to hear more gear recommendations or gear just overviews generally. I really enjoy making these videos and want to hear what people enjoy seeing. So take it easy and take care.